What is going on, Wolfpack Nation? Welcome back, y'all, to another Tuffy Talk live show, y'all. We are excited and we're counting down, y'all. As we are finally less than 6 weeks away from kickoff, baby. Looking forward to it. So excited about it. I already got my NC State football jersey, rocking it. Macon still going to be living high in the ACC championship and Final Four world, which I can't necessarily blame them, but hey. You know, I think we'll be living that back for a long, long time. But we already got Kyle in the comment section saying
I'm wearing gear too, just by for the since you didn't want to bring me up, but that's fine.
Hey, we can only see the gray, man. It's all we can see.
Bro, I know.
The gray and the shirt. The gray and the shirt.
Yeah,
the gray and the shirt.
The beard and the shirt blend in.
That's right. That's right. But I got Michelle. Good marvelous Monday, Wolfpack Nation. Appreciate you tuning in, Michelle. And what's going on, Carla? How you doing? So again, any questions, comments, concerns, requests, whatever it may be, make sure to get them in the chat. We will get to them here all today. But we got myself, Leighton Smith here, Macon Adams, and Greg the Leg joining us as always. And Michael should be joining us here momentarily. Kins is at the beach with her family, and so it's kind of to be determined on if she'll be able to join or not. But either way, I got a fun one here. As we definitely want to jump into it here, as I am got it itching to talk some football here, and especially because actually today, I don't know about you, Greg and Macon, but I actually got my parking passes today. So and actually kind of hit me looking at it. But is this arguably the easiest home schedule than that State's had in a long time? I mean, I know we've probably talked about this before, but I think it's been a while. But it just kind of hit me looking at it, being like, man, like it's really not that tough of a home schedule. Which I mean, it's exciting on one hand because I mean we've only had one undefeated home season, and that was back in 2022, 2021.
Mm.
So
21.
I mean, so why not do it again? But yeah, I mean, just kind of recap. So the home schedule, you can start off with Western Carolina, Louisiana Tech, Northern Illinois, Wake Forest, Syracuse, Stanford, and Duke. So, I mean, the toughest game there, maybe Syracuse, maybe. I would probably say Syracuse, just with Kyle McCord and all that. Probably. So yeah, I mean, not really the toughest schedule. Which I mean, I don't know if that's necessarily a good thing or a bad thing. I think you'd rather have some of those tough games at home, but I'm also saying, well, but you're also having an opportunity to, first of all, pad a little bit of that college football playoff resume that we're going for, playing some of these tough games on the road, like Clemson, like UNC, but also on the other side,
UNC a tough road game.
I mean, the tough. Well, I guess so. I think we've talked about this before, but which game would you say is tougher, at Georgia Tech or at UNC?
Just from a rivalry standpoint, I would say Carolina.
Oh, interesting. Because I think the Thursday night might be something where Georgia Tech and a little bit different, but
and
I don't know.
Georgia Tech, we could think entirely differently of Georgia Tech by the end of the season.
Well, same with Carolina.
And right? Haynes King is a better proven quarterback than anything I think UNC has right now. So, but Haynes King's also inconsistent. Yeah. So, for me, I think that's an interesting question. I would go to Georgia Tech because I'm not scared of Carolina right now.
No, I'm not.
But it is a rivalry game. To your point, Greg, and anything can happen. So,
true.
Yeah. And Georgia Tech's such a small stadium, so it's not like the most intimidating environment. I want to say it's like 35,000. It might even be less than that. I'm gonna actually look it up right now. It's one of the smaller.
So it's the size of Wake Forest, essentially.
More or less, yeah. Let me see.
I love Carson's stat right here. Fun fact: NC State has not lost a November game in Chapel Hill since 2006.
Wow, I am so off. I thought that stadium was much smaller. It's almost the same size as Carter Finley at 55,000. I thought it was a smaller school.
Yeah, so it's something for me where I think about Georgia Tech. It's a different kind of environment. It'll be a Thursday night game. Mm-hmm. They'll get up for it. They might be a 500 team. They might be a 75% win team. They might be 6-2, or whatever it is when we play them at that point in time. So, heck, I don't even know what their schedule is, and I can look it up. But
51,000.
I can see either way. For me, I think Georgia Tech game on Thursday night will be exciting. I think that's the same kind of environment they had when they beat Florida State at home a few years ago. So that's still on mine.
Yep. And it's not been a place that we've played very well as of late either. We've definitely struggled in Atlanta the way the mismatch of the, you playing these teams every 6 to 7 years. We probably have not won in Georgia Tech since probably the early 2000s, if I had to just guess off the top of my head.
2010, when we still had Russell Wilson and Noah Spencer, we went down there and won.
So still 14 years
I'm
ago.
looking here at their schedule now. They have a tough schedule. They've got, I'm just kind of looking quickly. They got to go over to Ireland and play Florida State. August
What a cool
24th.
environment too. That would be so cool to go do like a game like that.
Yep.
Absolutely.
So Georgia State at home, which Georgia State is kind of respectable minor league team kind of thing. Not only, but like you know what I'm saying, G5. At Syracuse, they get VMI. At Louisville, Duke at home. At UNC, Notre Dame at home. At Virginia Tech, Miami at home. NC State, and then Georgia at home.
Holy crap!
Yeah, that's
or wait, hold on.
That's
at Georgia. Excuse me. So, it's tough, man. So
that's almost an SEC schedule.
That was
they might be broken down by that point in time. So I wonder what UNC schedule. Now I got me curious.
Well, especially because the next week they play at Georgia. So could they be like, you know what? I'm okay with moving on from this state if I could go and not get embarrassed or even pull an upset against Georgia, kind of deal. There could be an option of a look ahead there for both sides, but for us, I feel like. Well, especially for us at that point, because for us at that point, hopefully we're trying to lock in a position to the ACC championship game. While for Georgia Tech, they're just trying to have a respectable record at that point. I'm assuming
that's an interesting tidbit right here. Georgia Tech senior night, so that's kind of
it's true.
One of those get up. Thursday night, get up. So you would probably expect pretty close to a full house. But again, if they're not doing great, that's a fan base that doesn't really show up if they're
Yeah.
No,
well, that'll be kind of tough. I imagine they'll be probably down. I can't see them winning. I can't see them being what's that late in the season. So that's like one game shy of 12. So they'll be like what 8-2. I can't or 7-3. I can't even see that with that schedule. I'm thinking 5-5 maybe. Yeah. So we'll see. Maybe
but they were. Maybe. And we talked about it before. They were one of those schools that were so Jekyll and Hyde. They won games that they shouldn't have won last year and lost games that they should have won. So if they're able to take that next step, they could be, because I think they were only a game and a half, 2 games out from making an ACC championship game last year. As crazy as that sounds.
Yeah.
Well, but they also won the most. You should not have won that game in the history of college football with Miami. Like they should not have won that game. Plain simple.
Yeah,
there's no doubt. Like that was 99.9999999% Miami win probability, and Miami.
I think we took your question late and just beat it over dead horse. We took the long way around that, but
I like it. It's a good conversation.
Yeah.
No. Well, and especially too, it kind of leads to my next point, which is that College Football Home, the Twitter page, basically came out with their season predictions, and they came out with states today, and they had State going 10-2, but losing to Clemson and Georgia Tech, which I'm sitting here saying that would be the rebirth of NC State shit right there, like plain simple, because especially if only lost to Clemson, you're heading into that game saying to yourself, if I could win these 2 games, you're feeling pretty good. Only having one ACC loss, so you're in a good situation to make an ACC championship appearance. But you lose to Georgia Tech, who, just like you guys said, to that point, maybe he's going to be 5-5, 6-4 at the best. So I mean, it's not going to be a packed crowd. Yeah. We're probably going to be at that point. If you only have one loss to Clemson, you're probably a top 15, top 20 team at the worst, in the country. So I mean, there's going to be a lot of State fans there for sure. And so the only reason that you could explain is that you're looking ahead to UNC and NC State shit. That's the only two reasons you would lose that game. You know what I mean? So I don't know. It's crazy.
Yeah, there's a possibility too. I won't be at that game. That might break the streak that game. So
whoa, really? Wow.
I'm supposed to
Greg, I might be at the game. So we'll see how. I'm thinking about it. So
I'm supposed to be in Korea. So we'll see.
Okay.
But I'm trying to get that trip canceled.
North or south?
Definitely
north
or south.
Yeah, that's awesome, Layton.
I'm going in with Team 12. I'm going in with Team SEAL Team 20. I'll get my words right.
He's going to go see his good buddy Kim. So
Yeah, right.
going
Anyway.
now, that's the funniest question today.
So anyway though, but yeah, no, North Wolf bringing us to the, I'll never forget that loss Georgia Tech at home in 2002 when we were 9-0. Yeah.
Side note, does anybody remember the game where like, it was like one of Dave Dorn's first years? We played Georgia Tech in Raleigh and we got destroyed by them, but that was the play, that was the year, it was the first year Jalen Samuels chased that dude down and forced a turnover back. Does anyone remember that play? I remember thinking like, holy cow, that was crazy. So that's the one thing I remember that play.
So I know Layton remembers he was on the staff or on the sidelines.
Yep, I was on that sideline, and one of the best effort plays I've ever seen with my own eyes. Like that was just plain effort. That's all it was. So yeah, just a sick situation, and one of the most ugliest situations too, because after that, because I mean, State was, I think we were within the 10-yard line. And then when Jason gets the ball back, he recovered it like at the 25-yard line. And then Jacoby, like 2 or 3 plays later, threw a pick 6. So like that was just the ultimate dagger of a play series right there. So, but anyway, though, so again, y'all, I mean, just looking forward to it. So first game, August 29th, Thursday night, 7 p.m., Western Carolina. And really, y'all are sitting here again. We'll do some really breakdown previews of the positions and previews of the season here within the next week or two. We'll start that. But really kind of looking at this team and thinking about this team, like I really am thinking about this team more as on paper, really than like thinking through like, oh, this is how it's going to look and things like that. Just because there's going to be so many new pieces, with Grayson McCall, you got a brand new running back, you got a lot of new receivers, a new tight end. You're not going to have Peyton Wilson at linebacker anymore, which is going to be a tough pill to swallow for sure. Not seeing number 11 there. And then on the defense side, I mean, you're really only going to see Davin Van and Aiden White being your main 2 stars back on defense. But then again, a lot of new pieces with the Coolies, with some new D linemen, things like that. You got Caden Fordham in there and the linebacker. So really looking at the season, it's kind of funny that I think this is the first time that I'm sitting here like, kind of having a hard time really envisioning how this season is going to go in my head. It's just more of like, what's it going to be on what's it going to be on paper? And then once I see the team actually in play against Western Carolina, then I think everything will start to make a lot more sense. But and anybody else kind of agreement there in terms of how this team is going to look in your head?
Yeah. I see what you're saying. I feel like I had that like last season too, just with Brendan Armstrong coming in and losing everybody off the defense last year.
Right. Yeah.
Michael, you've had a chance to even play with this new offense, new team on the CFP or CF football 2020, right?
I mean, if it's as good as in the video game, we're going to be pretty good. But
so silly, stupid question, right? Because I think it ties into the real life perspective a little bit. Are you having, when you're playing the game, are you having trouble getting the ball to all the weapons? Because I feel like that's a thing, right? Like, how do you, because you like, okay, we have KC, but wait, we've got running backs, which interesting. Did anyone see that ESPN article last week about, the biggest questions for the top 25 team? And they said running back. And
yes,
we'll get there.
It might be a tweet of the week, actually.
We'll get there.
It wasn't a tweet, but it's fine. But anyway, back to the question, Michael. Like, do you feel like, okay, I have to get this guy involved, right? Because this guy's a stud, and we're not getting him the ball enough.
Yeah.
No, definitely. Actually, you kind of do, especially like in the dynasty, where you have to like play with players, or else that they will transfer. Like if they don't get enough production, they put that in the game that they'll be unhappy and want to transfer.
Do they have NIL in the game?
No,
they will. I gotta be next year.
No, you can't actually pay them, but
well,
if you want to make the game realistic, that's what you need to do.
Well, and because that would be just a whole nother dynamic.
That's a great point, Greg.
How would the game simulate how much NIL money that you have? You know what I mean? Like
that's you can sell them. You can give them a hard sell or a soft sell, but that's more about your school.
Yeah. Well,
But
I'll say this too, Michael, though. I actually played College Football 25 for the first time this past weekend. We were at the beach with some friends of ours, and one of the husbands brought his PlayStation 5, and we played College Football 25. And
Yeah.
I actually found myself using Jolie a lot.
yeah,
Like,
yeah, he's
I am
very good.
honestly, if you had to ask me which players am I most excited about seeing play offensively, Jolie's got to be 2 or 3.
Yeah, he's up there.
Top 2 or
Yeah.
top 3. Like that dude's just going to be like who's the guy that we talked about at Syracuse 2 years ago?
Rondé
Gadsden.
Rondé Gadsden, bro.
Same, yeah.
Rondé Gadsden, right
Same
there,
mold.
and Justin Jolie right there, in my opinion.
So I don't know. I don't want to step on another tweet of the week, but did anyone see Justin Jolie's tweet about coming to play me?
Yeah,
You got a PS5.
Oh, yeah.
He said he'll challenge any fan to kick their tail.
in College Football 25, I love it.
Yeah, I've seen some wild tweets about the game. I saw one where the guy like destroyed his end table by throwing a controller, and he said, I think it captioned full mid-season mode already or something to that effect.
Yeah.
It was already it was pretty funny, but
yeah,
it looks like a fun game.
Well, and the one thing too, which I'm surprised, like this has got to be a Savage Wolves giveaway thing or one pack NIL giveaway thing ASAP. But like, could you imagine playing College Football 25 on the scoreboard in the football stadium, like sitting on the 50-yard line and playing? Like that would be
against a player,
big money against a player. Ooh, God, I would pay good money for that. That'd be cool.
We need to pitch that to Reed or Steve.
Yeah, no, that's $1 million idea right there. Like, wouldn't you agree, Michael? That'd be
pretty sweet
to play College Ball 25 in Carter Finley Stadium on the big board. Holy smokes! And that'd be easy to do. It would be easy to set up. It wouldn't take much. So yeah, that'd be so sick. Anyway, though, but yeah. So anything else about College Ball 25 before I jump over talking a little about ACC Media Day?
Oh boy.
Yeah, I know.
ACC's toughest non-conference schedule.
That's right. I know. Well, so 2 things. So one, I want to ask y'all's thoughts. First and foremost, what were y'all's thoughts about DJ Uyunglele declining to go to Media Day for Florida State? What was y'all's thoughts?
I didn't know that was a thing.
To be honestly, kind of respectable because he's not.
I agree.
He's not been there for a while, and he's giving credence to the guys who've been there, and he's not making it about him. So I kind of liked it, honestly.
Or maybe he also want to answer questions about Clemson for.
I was going to say he also probably doesn't want to talk about Dabo and why he left Clemson, but yeah,
right.
Yeah,
I mean,
no.
but
if he really was doing it for his teammates, that's very cool.
Well, that's what he said. But yeah, no, I'm sure about in the back of his head, Michael, absolutely that's part of it. But I mean, Brandon Armstrong had to deal with it. He got asked a million questions about, well, you have to play Virginia at Virginia. How's it going to be? And blah, blah, blah. So, it's part of it. But also too, it's gonna that's gonna be so weird seeing him in a Florida State uniform. That's gonna be like that Brandon Armstrong and NC State uniform equivalent. Like it's gonna be so weird, but excited to see, especially since they play week 0 too. So we actually are less than 5 weeks away from watching them play. So that's gonna be cool.
That could, I mean, this season could start off crazy if Georgia Tech wins that game because it's in Ireland, so like who knows? Like
I can see it happening, maybe, but yeah.
I think Florida State's a little overrated. I'm telling you.
I think that's when you pick off teams the most is earlier in the season, right? You almost saw it a couple years ago when we, barely beat ECU and teams just trying to figure things out, figure rotations, quarterback situations. There's, all kinds of different complexities and moving parts to why you could or couldn't succeed. So it'd be fun. Plus, I like getting up at like 8:00 in the morning to watch football. That's fun.
Sure, give me that. Now, last question before we jump into the other big news, which came from ACC Media Day today. Michelle asking, speaking of NIL, what were our thoughts about Jim Phillips' comments about not wanting athletes to become employees of universities?
Too late,
Greg. Yeah, too late. That's
kind of.
I mean, you're not
employed.
Really
they're being paid by the fans, right? They're not being paid by
not
the
soon.
university.
Not
no,
soon.
they can legally be paid. I think starting this year. I thought.
Correct.
I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Yep. Which I mean, again,
Take the burden off of me as a fan. I mean, I'm all for it. I
Agreed.
would just assume everything come under one umbrella where the players are employees of the university, and I just give all my money to the Wolfpack Club, and then they let the Wolfpack Club go figure it
I
out.
wonder if
Here's
it's
my
more
budget.
work for them and they don't want to deal with it. I wonder if that's part of it
Hashtag
too.
not my problem. Like,
Right.
just take my money. I hate having to figure out, okay, I can give this much to Savage, this much to, or, Savage / one pack. Cause
You have a budget and you have to budget it out.
Yeah. And then speaking of that, I just got a text from a friend. Like, I don't know if you guys saw, but the Wolfpack Club donations are going up next year. Minimum buy-ins.
Oh, are they? From
Yeah,
where are they now? It's going from 120 to what?
Yeah, so that still stays the same. The 120,
Oh.
the base entry still stays the same. It's the other levels. Like I think I'm in for the Lobo Club right now, and I think that's like 750, 800, and that's going up to 1,000. So
Yeah.
everything's jumping by a couple $100. So you have the bottom tier, the Teammate Club, which is 120, and then it jumps to 500, and then basically at that point it goes 1,000, 2,000, 3, 5, 60, 6,500, 10, 12, 5, 2,000, 20,000, 25,000, and 50,000. So
Yeah.
But is it
yeah.
not? Well, I was going to ask Michael, isn't and Greg, isn't it going up because of the required donation that they're adding in?
I think that's
I think
separate, to be honest
I think
with
it's
you.
in I think it's in
Yeah.
addition.
Yeah,
Looks like
and you
the-
talk about the football stuff, right? Like where they have to give more for that too.
the
Right.
seat.
To
Yeah.
get the grant of right or the lifetime seats, whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. And then the parking is, I think, going up
Yep.
double,
It is.
Yeah.
close to double.
Not if you park in the West Chase lot like I do.
Yeah, if you get the worst one.
Hashtag West
Well,
Chase.
I think
It's not a bad spot. Side note, it's not a bad spot. But anyway,
It's still like, I know this probably isn't where we had necessarily had the conversation going, but it's still cheaper than a lot of other major colleges, especially for where you can park. I mean, when we go to away games, it's not uncommon for us to pay close to $100 just to park for one game. And I get it, like that, but it's pretty expensive in a lot of places.
You can and you can sell your parking pass for one state game, and that covers your parking for the whole season.
Yeah,
So
state is not maximizing profit here, and they're taking fans into consideration in this, right? So every fan should realize that. And if it were me and I was running a business, I mean, if you're looking at it as a business, they should, right? And
it is a business. Let's be real.
Right, but you know what I'm saying though. If I'm being a business, I'm not being selfless, right? And I'm here just to make money, and they're being considerate of the fans, and they've been holding on for a long time. So us as fans, I really don't think there's a whole lot to complain here. Which I haven't really seen anybody complaining, to be fair.
Well, they are now. I mean, just because it's such a
every
big
time you
jump.
gotta pay more. Yeah, people.
Yeah, but I think because we haven't, and so percentage wise, like it's jumping considerably percentage wise from the previous price to the next price. But it's still in line with a lot of major colleges. I've looked at I've looked at other schools just for grins, and like if you want to get in an SEC school, you're making like more than $1,000 donation just to even buy tickets, But then there's other schools that don't even make you give a donation because they know that they're not that great, and so they just want to sell tickets. So I think we're still at a pretty good sweet spot for prices, but we as fans are going to complain because, like you said, Michael, it's more money out of our pocket that we hadn't anticipated having to spend.
Right, that's true.
My $50,000 donation now, I got to give $55,000. Can you believe that?
And the funny thing is, well, here's a little secret that I do. I go in whatever. So I think, like I said, I'm in the Lobo Club. Every year I give an extra $25 because then you get the extra points for the raising of your.
That's a good point. I don't think a lot of people realize that. I do that too. Even if you raise it just a tiny bit, you get extra points.
Yep. So they all matter.
Man, look at that, y'all! For the people tuning in with us on the live show, there you got some free consultation there on how to get some extra points at the Wolfpack Club. So
I shouldn't be sharing this because I'm competing with people for but hey, we're all in this together. So if you're gonna put more money, we all win at the end of the day.
Yeah, well, absolutely. Well, if everybody puts in an extra $20, that's a lot of money right there, Greg. So we'll take that on the chin.
Absolutely.
But Kyle wants to make it very clear that he believes that the NC State football score will be NC State 90, Western Carolina 1. Now, how Western Carolina
gets in that game?
Yeah. Well, oh yeah. No. And how Western Carolina gets one is beyond me. So let me know, Kyle, how that's going to happen.
Run the ball that game. Just run the ball.
It's like Canadian football. When you don't return a kick, the other team gets a point. I think they're going to do some Canadian scoring.
Yes. No, it's going to be the most vanilla offense ever, and I guarantee you, after that show, or after that game, that we're going to be coming on Tuffy Talk show, and everybody's going to say, like, "What's going on with the offense, man? Dude, what is an eye doing, man?"
So, like, bro. So do you go third string quarterback and save?
Save
CJ? No, because you want to get the gel going a little bit. You don't want to. I think it's the thing, like, you get to the third quarter, you're up by like 4 touchdowns, and you're like, all right, now let's go.
What is, especially because, unfortunately, knocking on wood over here. Don't worry, I'm knocking on wood. Grayson McCall has a terrible history with injuries. So God forbid, I mean, that you have to use him. You want him to be as ready as he can be. Mm-hmm. So if that means you give him a quarter and a half of the Western Carolina game to go and play with, the second stringer, second strings, and so be it. You know what I mean? But yeah, no, you got to play for this season. You can't play for next season, as we've learned, and as today's college football playoff, or as today's college football environment is, nobody's guaranteed to be here next season. Nobody.
Yep. Nope. Agreed.
So, my interesting thought I had. Go ahead, Greg. You got something?
No, that was my same thought. I was just curious as to what everyone else thinks, because to your point, we thought we would have MJ Morris this year, right? And that didn't turn out to be the thing.
And end up being the best.
And I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
Another tweet of the week, the other potential tweet of the week, Greg.
Yeah, we talked about that yesterday.
Yeah. But no, for me, like, when you brought that up, like, going vanilla against Western Carolina, and the contrast there, obviously, was just like going wide open against Tennessee. Do you go wide open against Tennessee? Do you go like no hold bars against them? Because here's why I say that, because they're non-conference, right? So you want to get that win, but is it like a thing where you open up the entire playbook against Tennessee?
Well, I think that earlier you're not even going to have the entire playbook either. Like, through the season, you still implement. You just don't have enough time to implement everything in the first couple of weeks. So
yeah,
I guess at that point, those are the two games that would be like your biggest wins. But I still count it as a non-conference game. Like Clemson, absolutely. To me, I'm thinking like that's the biggest game of the schedule, right? You have to do everything.
Yeah. Well, so you're finally coming around to what I said earlier this year. Then the Tennessee game is meaningless.
I don't know what meaningless. I'm just like, well, I guess it's how the state views their roster in relative to their opponents, right? Because it'll tell me that, to me, they really don't think these other teams are that good. If they really open up, also they want to win that game. But you get what I'm saying? Like, do you want to show all these other teams your playbook? I don't know. I think because the schedule's so easy, it really may not matter. But
and I'm totally being tongue in cheek, so please, no one take serious when I say it's meaningless. Like, but to your point, the ACC games have more weight in the grand scheme of things. Though a Tennessee win, and you go say 11-1, but miss the ACC championship, that's a big feather in your cap if you're potentially looking at an at-large bid.
Oh yeah,
but again, and we talked about this in our Discord. I don't see the ACC getting at-large bids.
No.
Well,
no.
11-1, yeah, for sure.
Not so
we'll
sure,
see, man.
Yeah,
Michael.
Well, 11-1, you don't think we get into playoffs?
That means we either win against Clemson.
11. I would Michael 11-1 for sure. We're in the playoffs.
10-2. That's where it gets tricky. 10-2.
Right, if you look at the top 12 last year, and there was like, if you look at the top 12 last year, because I've been doing the last 12 teams. There's only 3 teams that got 2 losses in the top 12. It was Arizona, which I think that's a good argument. Like you could be the Arizona, like the Pac-12. So then you had I think LSU and I can't remember who the other team was, but then when they got to 13, Penn State, they had 3 losses, if I'm not mistaken. So if you had a 2-loss team, you were in the top 12. Go ahead, Greg.
Okay, so let me throw this out there. We go 11-1 or 11-2 because we lose the ACC championship game. So say we lose to FSU.
Okay.
And we lose. So you can't get in 11-1. So you need to have 2 losses. What if I told you Northern Illinois?
You just absolutely blow
Wow,
a
that's
tire.
if we're going to give respect to the hypothetical.
No, that's still. Then you have wins over. You have a neutral site win over
Clemson
Tennessee and a
and
road win against Clemson. You're still in. It's a bad loss, but you're still in.
he tried to throw us off track there, Michael, but he didn't have it.
Even with
yeah.
as soft as a schedule we have.
I think so. I think
What-
that Tennessee and Clemson being that one's neutral site and one's on the road, I think those will.
So I asked my dad this question, kind of going back on that. Then I'm really
Yeah.
bouncing here. Which is the tougher matchup? Do you think Tennessee on a neutral site or Clemson at Clemson's a tougher game?
I think Tennessee's going to be better than Clemson for this season, so I would probably say on a neutral field. Though you get more points technically if you win on a away field, right? If we're using the net, right? If you're
Clemson
using
hardly
the
never loses.
Net.
Clemson almost never loses at home, so that's the other thing I think about too. Like,
yeah.
But here's my thing though. So first of all, so Michelle's saying from the recruiting perspective, Tennessee is not meaningless.
100% nationally for sure.
And then Carson's saying Tennessee game is nothing to lose, everything to gain. So here's my two things about Tennessee. So making you ask the question, do we show everything against Tennessee? So the only thing which I'm saying in terms of yes is that if you do show, like, let's say like a trick play where Kevin Concepcion's in a Wildcat and you have a guy coming in a jet sweep across him and in case he keeps it, well, now for that Clemson game, you can do it that you set the same thing, but that jet sweep actually gets it from Casey that time. So it can set up play, especially with Robert and I, with how creative he is. Yeah. I'm not necessarily worried about showing too much because I guess what I guarantee you with Robert and I, and with the fact you have a 6-year quarterback in Grayson McCall, they can understand anything. They can put anything in place. They'll be fine. I'm not worried at all about showing too much to anybody. But also too with Tennessee is that, again, it's more of that. Can we take that next step as the program? You know what I mean?
Can we beat an SEC school in Charlotte?
Can we beat an SEC team at a neutral site? Period.
Honestly, I think the bottom line is I think Doran's that you play the game to win, right? And so the goal is going to be to win. So if that means opening the playbook all the way, sure. I mean, then they do it. I just think what State has done in the past is in the last season, and their recipe for success is get a lead early, and then just milk it out essentially as they go through it, and not being conservative, but basically playing to your defense, right? So, I think that first half is going to be the deciding factor in the game for State. If not, then that's where I think the interesting call be like, okay, how far behind are you? Are you down by a touchdown? Are you down by 3 touchdowns? Are you like, or are you up by a score? Are you up by 3 scores? Because I think at that point, then you can kind of play it. Ride Jordan Waters or whoever, Raphael, you can do those kinds of things.
Shorten the game.
Yeah. So it'd be interesting. I just think there's going to be some future thinking somewhat with it, but I think ultimately is, look, don't overcomplicate it. I guess the KISS analogy, keep it simple, stupid. Mm-hmm. You're there to win the game. So
yeah.
Anyways, I see Benjamin said the red light's on for baseball.
Yeah, we got a new guy earlier today.
Yeah, okay. We'll talk about that here right now. Last comment, Michelle saying Dua is needed to win to defeat Tennessee. Absolutely. Michelle and Macon are on connection right there. So with that being said, y'all, let's jump on over some tweets of the week, y'all. All righty, y'all. So the other piece of news coming from, not necessarily from ACC Media Day, but
sorry.
But I think it aligned perfectly with the start of ACC days that Pete Thamel came out and multiple sources saying, have been told by multiple sources that there's no expectation for Florida State or Clemson to notify the ACC that they intend to leave by the August 15th deadline to depart after the upcoming year. So basically meaning that they are locked in for this season and at least next season. Really, for me, this just goes back to why people, say, why don't you talk more about conference realignment? It's like, because it's all, just throw it up in the air. Just take a bunch of pieces of paper, rip it all up, throw it in the air and just see what happens. Like, that's basically what conference realignment is. Nobody knows. It's all speculation. There's nothing concrete. Like, it's all just, I don't know. We'll see. That's basically where it is. So now, with this, I don't think it necessarily changes much in terms of. I think that Florida State and Clemson in the near future are still gonna work their way out. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. But I mean, Michael, I mean, anything else you kind of take away from this really more than what I've said already?
No, I mean, it was always going to take multiple years for them to get out, and it's just people are, like to be clickbait, like saying, "Oh, they're going to leave today." It's like, no, it's there's too many years left on the contract to buy their way out. So they're fighting it in court to try and nullify the contract through the court, and that's going to take years because that's just how the legal system works, especially with contracts like these. So it's not. I'm not surprised. It's just like, okay, we can move on now. Nothing's going to happen.
Yeah. Honestly, I think it's kind of them accepting the fact that they got to stop whining, particularly Florida State. Like, it's not happening right now, and just let it be. So,
that's a good way to put it. Greg, anything to add to that?
No, unless some kind of Oklahoma, Texas thing comes out of this where, they're able to get things negotiated and then drop lawsuits, it's not going to happen anytime soon.
And Texas and Oklahoma were only able to get out 1 year early. Mm-hmm. We're talking about, what, 12 years?
Yeah, 36. Yep.
Yeah.
So
a little different.
Yeah. A little different. Yeah. So anyway, though, and then back to our tweet, which Greg, you had mentioned earlier, being that, the ESPN article came out with basically what was the one question mark for each of the preseason top 25 teams. And the question mark for us was running back.
I just disagree.
And in this comment, they had said, or in this article, they said, perhaps we're underestimating the impact transfers Jordan Waters and Hollywood Smothers will have this season. But at NC State, the ground game has always been a big concern for a few years. In 2023, the Wolfpack's leading rusher was the quarterback. Their second leading rusher was a wide receiver. So, yeah, there's a lot of work for Waters and Smothers to turn things around. Waters at least has a resume to suggest it's possible. At Duke last season, he ran for 819 yards and 12 touchdowns. The last time NC State had a runner hit those marks in the same season, Reggie Gillespie in 2018. Which is interesting because since then, I mean, you've had a NFL talent in Zonovan Knight, but he wasn't able to hit those hit those numbers. But I think a lot of it comes down to, I feel much more confidence in Anai's ability to basically get the ball out of Grayson McCall's hands in a 50-50 manner. I don't think that we're going to be a heavy run. I don't think we're going to be a heavy pass. I think we're going to be very even, especially because we have so many guys that can run the ball. We have so many guys that can catch the ball. So I think that, there's not really a push to go heavy one way or the other unless that opposing team has a weakness on one side or the other. That's kind of my point. But Greg, go ahead.
Yeah, I know he's talking specifically running back, but I don't care how you get the rushing yards. I mean, you see KC being utilized, they're referencing that.
Yep.
You have Jordan, you have Hollywood, you've got Duke Scott, who's been pretty impressive so far in the offseason, putting on weight, and he's had some great prep numbers. You have Jonathan Paylor. We don't know how he's going to fit into this. Is he going to be kind of a slash kind of guy? And then of course you have Raphael, who's coming back. I don't see running back as a weakness. If anywhere else, I would have maybe gone somewhere on the defensive side of the ball, like linebacker.
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah, but I just don't think running. I mean, you have a proven back in Jordan Waters, who was a stud at Duke. I mean, what was he? Second team All ACC, I think.
Second or third.
Yeah. So you've got a proven commodity. He knows ACC defenses. And then to your point about Anai, he's going to be creative in his designs for these guys. I totally disagree. And David Hale is usually pretty on point, but he's missing the mark on this one.
Well, and let me add one thing, Michael, and I'll let you come in. But he averaged 5.4 yards a carry last year, and he went against. I mean, he went against FSU, Clemson, Louisville, Notre Dame, Clemson. So I mean, it's not like he went against a bunch of scrub defenses. He went against some good defenses, and still on the season averaged 5.4 yards a carry.
Third team All ACC.
Third team, thank you.
So Michael, thoughts there?
Yeah, I don't really get it either. you're returning 4 offensive linemen and replacing the one who's not returning with a center who started like 2 full seasons at Notre Dame.
Yeah.
And you're bringing in, like Greg said, an all ACC running back. I get they haven't played together, but like that's just, I don't know. It's the transfer portal era. You could say that about every team, but
yeah,
I don't know.
Now, Macon, I'll bring you in. That North Wolf asked a question. What about the O-line? Can't run with anyone if you can't block. Now, I think that this year's O-line, I think, and Carson says it, that I think it should be a significantly improved offensive line this year, as long as we can stay healthy. I mean, just all the experience that you're going to have in the starting 5, and then you still have some quality depth pieces behind it too as well. So I'm feeling pretty good about. I don't think O-line. I don't think if we're struggling running the ball, I'm not necessarily going to jump at that. Oh, it's because of the O-line, in my opinion.
Yeah, to me, the concern to me is linebacker. Honestly, Peyton Wilson did so much for the linebacking core, and you do lose Jalen Scott, right? So where does Devon Betty fit in? Is he a leader? Is Caden Fordham really able to step up? We moved Sean Brown in, but that's all hype right now. So I think linebacker is the biggest question mark. If it's not that, honestly, beyond that, I'm kind of defensive line a little bit. Like I a little bit there because Devin Van is there. I that's why I go linebacker over them because Devin Van is there. A lot of people are hyping up Trevally Price right now. From what
I think Isaiah Shirley's going to have a breakout year. You see him in the weight room? Holy moly.
Yeah, I mean that could be interesting too. You've still got Red Hibbler.
Yeah,
Hibbler. Yeah, so I'm not as worried about that.
Who's the guy that we brought in from Cincinnati? Doesn't he have one more year too?
Noah Potter.
Potter. Yeah. He was originally from Ohio State too. Yeah. So I think with those guys, I think they'll be good, fine. Maybe if one of those guys, maybe it is Price, maybe he could step out, or maybe it is Shirley. Maybe those guys can break out and be good, but linebacker is the problem to me, man. Or maybe safety, but I almost wonder if linebacker is it because how heavily our defense relies on linebackers. So
that's what they're asked to do.
Yeah, 3-3-5 that puts emphasis on your linebackers. So, I mean, that's what I think about. I don't know. That's just me. We're gonna see what we have. We're gonna see what we have against Tennessee. They're not gonna see it the first week, and that's what makes me a little nervous. Like you'll see schemes and that kind of thing, and fits and eyes and those kinds of things. But like playing against other dogs, it's gonna be interesting.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Michael.
I also think that we'll see what we have versus Tennessee when it comes to comparing to a top SEC team. I think we can still be really good, even if we have a poor performance against Tennessee. I think we can still be really good in the ACC.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. 2 things, and then we can move on if you want. One, I think the offensive line is going to be really good this year. Second year under Coach 2J, and that's a unit that you saw get better throughout the year once they kind of figured out all their pieces last year. So I think you'll see that unit take another step forward. And then number 2, I don't think something, because of the linebacker situation, I think this is going to be sneaky important for this unit is now the 2-way communicate or the 1-way communications with the radios in these guys' helmets because you're asked so much to do. I think that's going to be a big thing for our defense to kind of get guys lined up properly. So I'm really excited to see how that's going to play out in this defense.
Can I ask a question here? Who do you think on that first tweet there, Jackson Williford, a sample of State's offensive talent? Who do you think is the most underrated player? Right there, because to me, it's not KC, right? It's not KC. I wanted to say Belton, but then I thought, no, he's mock first round. I don't know if he's underrated.
Corral.
So
it's Corral.
Is it? I mean, I don't know. I mean, like McCall, probably not him.
The dude was a solidified starter at Notre Dame, which is known as basically offensive line U, and now he came to NC State, and now he's also under Garrett 2J, who's been synonymous with developing offensive line talent. So
I think it's a fair point. Yeah.
But you're saying underrated, the most underrated?
Yeah, like who's not getting the attention they deserve out of all this?
Yeah, I think it's Corral.
Yeah, and I think that's going to be helpful because State's offensive line still has McKay and Belton, and I'm thinking of Peak on there, and they're going to be a better offensive line. They're going to be a better offensive line, in my opinion.
And there's still
He's-
people not even mentioned on wide receiver that I think are going to play significant roles this year. I think
Grimes not even there.
well, Grimes is on there. He's on the right hand side.
Right hand side.
The second
Oh,
page.
I'm thinking on the left side. Sorry.
Oh,
Sorry.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
fine. But I think Anderson's going to be big this year for at wide receiver.
as a freshman.
Absolutely.
Yeah, as a freshman, and then yeah, I don't know if we're talking. I kind of slide in. If it's not Corral, it might be Noah Rogers. Like as crazy as that sounds, we haven't people haven't talked
seen
about
him
him a
yet.
lot.
So that's why I don't know. If, yeah.
Yeah.
People aren't getting the credit. Yeah, I don't know. Not
But I
credit.
mean, you're talking a 5-star
Yeah.
kid that went to Ohio State. Yes, I know he didn't get the reps there. So but he's just not. I mean, 5-star guys just don't fall in NC State's lap. That's kind of where I'm going, and he's not. He's just not being talked about a lot. At least I don't feel like he is. Because KC's getting all the attention, right? And I
Yeah,
don't think. Go ahead.
No, I think another guy that I don't see on this list at all, and I think it's interesting because they're almost like forgetting about him. Was anybody like just sleeping on Javonte Vereen a little bit too? Like I feel like he could be a guy he had moments last year, right? He's a true freshman, so he wasn't looking great. State went away from him as the season went on, but I think even Benjamin makes the comment kicker, like it's gonna be a big key too. So
new kicker.
I just don't know if I think kicker is going to make the games easier to win for us for sure, right? It's going to be like I want this offense is going to be dynamic enough, but we're not going to necessarily need to worry about as many field goals. But in those big games, I think we will.
Yeah.
There's just so many weapons, though. I mean, I know you can't get a full like dissection of it from a spring game, but I mean that red zone offense looked nasty with Jolie. You can get so creative when those spaces get tight down there. I think there's just
I think
so
Jolie
much.
gets like 7-8 touchdowns this year.
Easy.
I think he does.
I think he's going to lead the team. I don't know if that's necessarily a hot take.
I kind of do too. I think it's a hot take. I think it is. It's like really the tight end's going to be your leading touchdown receiver. Like
When's the last time we had a legitimate tight end?
George Brown.
I'm thinking of.
I'm thinking Carrie Angeline.
He's like Angeline.
Angeline. Yeah, Angeline, not Angeline. Excuse me. Yeah, I mean, so I know we had moments with Trent Penix. Unfortunately, he couldn't stay healthy. You had some guys that
really wasn't
David Greenidge. David Greenidge is also another one that's pretty good.
He was pretty good. But to my point, this opens up a whole lot of stuff. Like you have a safety valve now, right? Like a guy that could probably scramble, find the quarterback, find a soft spot in the zone, and then make a catch. And then, dude, he's explosive with the ball. Like that's the insane part. And I'm really excited to see how they use him against Tennessee because he went off against Tennessee last year.
I'm telling y'all right now, the fall camp reports from Pack Pride, Wolfpacker, IPS, wherever you watch it, those things are going to be hot pancakes, man. That is for sure, man.
Speaking of that, you guys see the syrup that was ready to go?
Heck yeah.
No, I did not
nice
see
little move there.
I
mean, like just like seeing like who's impressing, who's the ones, oh man, that's gonna be so key. It's crazy.
And you got Collins over here, like he was starting to break out about halfway 3/4 of the season last year. Like he was starting to like that Wake Forest game was kind of like his coming out, and he was
UNC was huge.
UNC he was huge in that game as well. Yeah, the last 3 or 4 games of the season, he really turned it on. So you would accept hopefully that he takes that next step. I'm so excited.
Just buckle your seatbelts, y'all.
I'm just really curious to see how. I feel like the toy chest for a 9 in this case is like
he's never had a bigger one.
And it's gonna be like it would be like I would be licking my chops, like salivating at the thought of like, okay, what if I did like a 3 running back set with Hollywood, with Raphael, and I did it with Waters, and then I just or put KC in the backfield. You put Paler, Hollywood, and KC in the backfield, or something like that, where it's pure speed, or
no
whatever. You put a Vereen and Jolie on the field at the same time, or whatever. So
there's a ton of speed on this offense, which is insane, right? I think this is probably one of the fastest, if not fastest. I mean, I know we had Naheem and he was next level, but we usually had one, right? There's multiple ones on, whether it's the backfield, wide receiver, Jolie. Like I said, Jolie's got good speed.
I can name you 8 to 10 guys off the top of my head that are speedsters on this offense.
Okay, here's a side note question. We haven't talked this concept. Jalen Coit was a pretty good punt returner.
Mm-hmm.
How long of a leash does he get? Because these guys are a different kind of speed, right? So it's
Probably
like
not long, but I don't think
he drops
much
one
punt
or
last
two and
year.
he's done. He drops one or two. And
Yeah,
he's
but
done.
I don't think he did one last year. So
I know he was really
Knock on wood
good,
there, 'cause
right?
He was really good. Yeah, he was top 5 or 6 in the league on punt returns.
He's
It might have
really
been higher
good.
than that. He might have been top 3 or 4, to be honest with
Really
you.
good.
Well,
really
who's
good.
going to be your kick return? That's going to be a fun one too for Doran to figure out.
Julian Gray's gone, right? Julian
Gray's. I think again, depending on how you want to use these guys, right? Like, is Paler? Are you going to burn Paler's red
I think
shirt?
Paler.
I think Paler too.
Yeah,
dude,
no,
pure
again,
speed, dude. There's gotta go.
Unfortunately, red shirt's just such a like why even red shirt guys anymore, in my opinion, unless it's the medical
Honestly, save it.
Ask for it.
Save it. But like, if you're going to, because if he gets hurt, then you still got it. So.
Anderson's fast too. Holy moly, Anderson's fast.
Yeah.
He did. He did punt returns. He did kick your punt returns in high school. So yeah, I don't know, man. I feel like kick returner makes Central Paler because he came in late, and it's not a whole lot of scheme thing to worry about there. Right. It's just like catch the ball.
Go
and
north south. Yeah.
Let's go do your thing. Yeah. Well, and especially, I mean, he came in as an athlete, not necessarily a running back, wide receiver. He played, all the positions on the field. Yeah. He's like, he just like watching him. I've watched him in person. He's like, he just fits your kick return scheme. That's when I think kick return, I think Jonathan Paler. Period. So anyway, real quick, I jumped to it. 2 huge commits to over the weekend with the Isaac's Sowells. I'm sorry.
Souls.
Sorry. Isaac Souls.
Isaac Souls. Spike Souls is his nickname.
Spike.
Yes, sir.
It reminds me of the kid from Little Giants. Anybody remember Little Giants? Spike.
That's a great movie, which, by the way, you could not get that movie on DVD for years.
You can get it digitally, though.
Anyways, sorry, random.
Great, but I love that's a great name for a football player, Spike.
Yeah.
Did you see why he's called Spike?
No.
Nope.
Because
go ahead.
Well, I forgot the story now. Hold on, I'll find it. It's a funny story.
Do you know why he's Spike? No, I don't. Yeah, I don't know either. You guys tell me.
Because someone named him Spike. I don't know.
Do you guys know Spike? Yeah, I don't. Yeah,
well,
it's a good story. That's all I remember.
Well, here's the other thing too. He and Gibbs have really connected. So that's like something great to see. You look at Coach 2J, what he brought in last year, and you'll start to see some of those fruits with Smith. You got guys that can be swing guys. Obi, he's a big dude. Like, and then
Ja'Carrius Speak will be our next first round draft pick, guaranteed. Yeah. If he keeps it up, he's going to be a first round draft.
He
pick.
might be underrated, and he wasn't even mentioned on that list, right? That you just referred to, and he's only going to get bigger and stronger.
Yeah,
he was really good at run blocking, but not so much at the pass blocking.
Well, because I feel like that you still haven't like you've been like you got a taste of his ceiling, but you haven't necessarily seen it. But Zeke Correll, again, he was the starting center for Notre Dame, So, but yeah, no, again, Ja'Carrius Peak, I'm telling y'all, he's without doubt within not this year, but 2026, he'll be a first round draft pick if he keeps it up,
or it could be next year. Yeah. Oh, you find it?
I found it. Yeah, I knew I saw it. It's on IPS. His nickname, so he's Isaac Souls Jr. So his dad's nickname was Ike for Isaac, and he's small person Ike, so he's Spike.
I like it.
Wow,
I like it. Thanks for making us.
That sounds like let's figure out a way.
I forgot what it was.
Let's figure out a way to give this guy a reason to be called Spike. That's legitimate.
I was hoping somebody else read the article and was like,
or maybe it's the hair.
I haven't been on IPS in like a week. I got to catch up on IPS. It's been a minute since I've been on there. It's been crazy busy.
Yeah. Small person Ike. I thought that was funny.
But again, y'all, I mean, I'm really sitting here, everybody's going to say, Michelle, saying 2J is doing great on the recruiting show. Everybody's going to say, man, why don't we get more 4 stars? Why aren't we in there more? Why is all 3 stars? Yeah, exactly. Culture. And again, Ja'Carrius Speak, 3-star, and he's going to be, if he keeps it up, he's going to be a first round draft pick. Listen, get your guys. Again, the recruiting, high school recruiting now is all about the guys you want. If you see potential in this guy, you can develop him into an elite player in a top 3-4 round NFL draft pick. You get him, and then if he doesn't hit, then you go to the transfer portal and get the guys that you need for that season. It's high school recruiting. honestly, I could care less if we don't get a single 5-star, you maybe get 1 4-star. Like, just I don't know. I just don't really care for the most part about high school recruiting anymore. Like, it just doesn't have the same buzz that it used to now with the transfer portal the way it is.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
But it feels like every target that Coach 2J wants, he's getting. Like, I don't feel like we're losing out on guys that we're targeting, especially at least at offensive line. It feels like every time you hear like, oh, this is a rumor that this guy is going after, and then 3, 4, 6 weeks later, he's committing to state. And I'm like, okay, then you're getting your guys. So what else do you want? If that's who you're targeting, like you're already getting the feel and the sense of what you can mold them into.
Agreed. So then I mean, for you as a fan, you got, just like you said, you got to trust that if 2J and Dorn are going after these guys, if they're making videos of, if Dorn's making a video with him and Carter Finley in the background saying, hey, Spike, what's going on, man? Like, he's doing that because he wants that guy. And so for a reason, so you got to trust that, Dorn's seen something that he likes there. But making any thoughts about either of these guys or recruiting in general right now for NC State?
Well, those two guys are both linemen, right? So they're going to win in the trenches, and that's really good. And I just saw that Micah Newton got offered by Miami today, right? So he picked State over UCF, in-state school, and Michigan State. And he had some also decent offers, but Miami comes in late. It does make me wonder if a school like that does kind of catch a Florida kid's mind. But Souls picked us over Kentucky and South Carolina, right? So Kentucky's the home team. And, I think they said that the state of North Carolina had a weaker recruiting class this year. So you lost a lot of the guys states recruiting are out of state. But, I think these are really good pickups for state. Clearly, if some of these other schools are starting to continue to offer them, people know state recruits well, right? So if the staff wants them, I want them. So I think they'll be really good pieces.
Amen. Moving on to our next tweet of the week, the announcement came out over the weekend that Chancellor Woodson announced that he will retire after this academic year. And he'll be finishing up here his 14th year or 15th year with NC State. And definitely going to be a loss for sure. Now, I know that there's some people commenting saying, still talking about, his vote as a part of, letting Stanford and Cal into the ACC and all that. And listen, y'all, I mean, Chancellor Woodson, I've always said that because, my wife, remember, she went to South Carolina. They have a president. So I always used to joke with her saying, okay, you guys have the best president. We have the best chancellor. And I'm telling you, there's nobody that's more approachable than Randy Woodson. Mm-hmm. There's nobody that fought more on multiple fronts for NC State than Randy Woodson. I mean, every single time that there was a move that needed to be made from an athletic or academic standpoint to take NC State to the next level, he was there right in front of it. And NC State would not be where it is as one of the premier engineering institutions in the country, if not, one of the top in the world. Athletically, where it is, with Debbie Yao, with Boo Corrigan, and all the coaches that we have, without Randy Woodson. It's as simple as that. Now, am I saying that it's, a majority because of him? No, not necessarily. But without him doing his part, we would not be here. Simple as that. So, making any thoughts here about this news here, man, or anything else you'd add?
No, I think in general that Randy Woodson's been a really great chancellor for NC State. He's brought up the rankings of NC State as a public university and nationally significantly. I don't know the exact numbers, but I know they've been posted somewhere.
Yeah.
He also has this air about him where he really seems, like you said, approachable, like you said, Leighton, relatable.
Very.
I know I can think about him for me being a guy who loves playing guitar, writing music, and that kind of thing. Seeing him kind of during the Packapaloozas, like play up. I remember seeing him and Dave Dorn and Scotty McCreery up on stage playing guitar, and they got the guy from American Aquarium, his latest Red Chair Talks, whatever they call it, and they have him playing guitar too. I think that's just cool, fun personality side, I guess, of Randy Woodson, but he really has things embodied NC State well. So there's things anybody can find that faults about him. I have my own thoughts about some of those things, but I think the positives outweigh the negatives with this guy by a lot. And I think he's done NC State great service as a chancellor. So I'm really
And
glad he was a chancellor.
And the one thing which I'll add, and then Greg, and Michael, I'll let you guys come in if either of y'all want to say anything. But the other thing I'll say as well, like you were saying, making like him playing guitar with Scotty and Doran, like that's not a facade. That like he didn't do that just because like somebody said, hey, you should go do that, like, you know, to make you look better. Like, no, that's just him. Like, you know, he just fits NC State. Like, why do NC State fans love Dave Doran? Because he's one of us. Like he fits us. Like he's a truck, you know, fishing guy wearing cowboy boots. Like he fits the prototypical NC State fan. And Randy Woodson, even though he's the chancellor, so I mean, at a lot of schools like you know, that are more, you know, upscale academic, where it's more cup and tea, like academic focus, like, no, like he fully understands the need for athletic success, but he also understands what it takes to, you know, and what it means to have, like North Wolf saying, a top 30 public university in the country. So, Michael, Greg, any final thoughts here about Randy Woodson here?
He's been great, like we've been saying. You know, he's been here longer than most, and I think that's definitely brought stability to the school, and that's you know, reflected in the rankings like we talked about. But yeah, it's tough to see him go, but you know, that's just kind of how it goes. Got to replace him with somebody better.
Big shoes to fill.
So obviously, you know, I'm the one soul that didn't go to State, and you guys were both at State, or all of you, excuse me, were at State when Chancellor Woodson was there. But I think, you know, he just embodies what NC State is, to your point, Leighton. He's a guy that came from Purdue University, which is a school very similar to what NC State is. He's probably the type of guy that you could sit down with a red Solo cup and have a drink, and he would have a drink. You know, he's raised the level of the university. You know, applications have gone up like 200% since he first came. You know, if you're a kid from Raleigh, you're not getting into State. You know, it's you know, he's raised the level of what NC State is, and I've ran into him a couple of times, and he'll say hello, and he goes out of his way to be a nice soul. And in a world where these chancellors and presidents only last 5 to 7 years, you have a gentleman that's lasted 14 years. So that tells you all you need to really know.
Agreed. All right, Greg. So we'll switch on over to one of your favorite worlds, which is baseball, baby. And
some stuff's been happening.
Yeah, some stuff's been happening for sure. You know, Cozy, Eli, Butters, and Whitaker all getting drafted, and then AMAC and Garrett Pennington, and now also to Sam Highfill got signed as free agents. So, I mean, Greg, were you a little bit surprised at all that Cozy fell to the second round at all?
No, just if you follow baseball rankings, and that's about where you figured he would fall into. He was earlier, you know, before the season started, he was projected top 10, top 20, 25. You know, he had a good year. He probably, in his own words, he probably would have told you he would have probably liked to have done more offensively. He had great offensive numbers, lots of walks, and but his power numbers and his average probably weren't where he would like to have gotten to. But his defense, there's no doubt that his defensive skills are bar none to anybody else in this draft. I think that's a great spot. 48. I think it was basically a value slot of around $2 million. So he's gonna have a nice payday and then just work his way up. I don't know where he's got to end up as far as, like, you know, rookie or A or wherever that may be. But so I just don't know enough about the Guardians and their catcher situation, so that'll kind of dictate where he goes. But I think it's a great landing spot. They have really good minor league system, so he's gonna do and fare very well.
Yep. Now, you know, so Buttersworth's already, you know, announced he's gone. You know, Serrano,
Eli's gone. He's gone. He and Whitaker traveled out together the other day, so he's gone.
Yeah, and I mean, again, drafted in the 4th round. Like, I don't know what the value was, but yeah, it was probably significant.
I think I saw that today.
He's like 600,000.
Yeah, I think it was like 697. So he got a little bit more.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Good for him.
Between 6 and 650. But again, we talked about it for baseball. Kind of, they're slotted, but not slotted. Like, there's some wiggle room.
Yeah.
So since they paid Eli a little bit more, they're probably paying one of their other draft picks a little bit less.
Correct. But yeah, I mean, a guy that hit over 400 in the postseason, and then the fact that, like you had mentioned before, Greg, that now that he has that, leverage of the extra year to put against, go and take advantage and cash out and go play for New York Mets. That, hey, I mean, they can use all the help they can get for sure. So,
Real quick, I want to share a real quick story about
Go for it.
Sam. Really, really cool story. His grandpa actually was signed by the Philadelphia Phillies back in the day, Joel Highfield. So I think that's just a really cool story that, if his grandpa was around today, like that would be pretty cool, I think. So I just wanted to share that lineage is there. And he's coming down to your neck of the woods from what I understand.
I was going to say,
Michael.
do you know where he's starting? Because if it's single A, that'll
not
be
100% sure, but it sounded like he's going to be in Florida, so he's going to be because there's 2 Clearwater teams. So I think for sure he's going to end up down your way. But so you got him, and then AMAC signed his contract yesterday, I believe, or Saturday, and then I'm assuming Pennington's probably already signed his as well. But lots of news there, and then we got 3 new recruits over the last week. The latest coming in today, shortstop out of San Diego. There you go. DiCrisio.
DiCrisio, I think. DiCrisio, I think is how you pronounce his name. Justin DiCrisio.
Yeah. So really high average shortstop. So assuming you have a lot of infield guys now, so it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out, because you have Lyons, you have DiCrisio, of course you have Luke,
Nixon.
Yeah, and I'm missing one more. There's one more that I'm just drawing a blank on.
Havner,
you still have Havner, and there's one more on top of that.
And the Ole Miss transfer.
That's Lyons.
Oh, that's Lyons. Okay.
There's one more guy up there.
Nixon, Havner are returning, Lyons, and DiCrisio. There's another one.
I thought there was one more.
There's the catcher.
There's a freshman, I think, coming in. It's a freshman that's coming in.
Well, there's Carr, the JUCO guy. Carr.
The JUCO guy, he just signed the other day, and then you have
the freshman catcher that they flipped from Georgia.
Correct.
Look at you, Macon.
Then there's Ty Head, the guy from that didn't get drafted yet.
Yeah, the flip from Georgia is Preston Bond. So he's got some numbers. So we got some depth pieces. We got some pitchers. Got a couple pitchers coming. So it'll be interesting to see where everyone slots. You only have so many starting positions, and we got a lot of starter arms.
So, Greg, only because I want to get to a couple other things, I want to ask you, and then we'll move on from this. But if you had to give Elliot Avents a letter grade for the off seasons so far, what would you give him?
Yeah, baseball is really tough.
In terms of the moves that he's playing.
Definitely. So he's definitely plugged in positions that we needed. I'm interested to see, because he's recruiting on potential, a lot of potential. Obviously, we got the third baseman that came in from Georgia Tech. So these are he brought in a lot of freshmen that had limited plate appearances, but were highly touted out of prep. And so I think it's a solid B. With potential to be an A- when it's all said and done. I think, again, if these guys pan out the way, and look, Coach Hart, and I know you just wanted me to go real quick on this, but Coach Hart is such an excellent recruiter, and he can develop hitters. Just see what he did with AMAC in one season. AMAC had career numbers. Pennington had career numbers. So I think
older guys were pretty much developed, and he still got that extra production out of them.
Yeah. So I think definitely a B+.
Yep, agreed. Now, first thing I need to get to, shout out to Tar Heels for Life, saying at least one fan base is excited about football. I'm going to be getting drunk a lot this year.
I don't know. I mean, their schedule just as easy as ours. They could get 8 wins and still be.
I think if honestly you had a quarterback like you could count on, because football is just a quarterback driven sport, and so I think if you had that quarterback solidified, like I don't know how I would feel if we didn't have Grayson McCall.
Well, but but again, I mean, shout out to you, Tyros, for life, for being a good sport. Appreciate you being here, man, and one man. And anyway, and then Benjamin saying we're not done yet, FYI, talking about baseball recruiting. So love to see what that comes to. Real quickly. I mean, we got to give a shout out here. It's Danish. Not that one.
Oh, that's not
This
Dennis.
this one. They're both about the same height, so I got it confused. Anyway, so Diana Schneider now winning her third singles title on the WA Tour in 2024, all on 3 different surfaces as well. So I mean, for those who are not a tennis followers, basically there's dirt, grass, and clay.
No, clay
And
is
so
dirt.
Clay is the dirt.
okay.
Yep,
then
Like
what
a
else?
hard court.
Hard
Like a
court.
hard court.
Hard court. Yeah. Hard court.
Clay.
Or / clay and
Grass,
then
clay, and
grass.
hard, which is artificial grass. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So now she's won her third title, now up to number 23, the 23rd best women's tennis player in the world right now. And
That's
she's
pretty crazy.
Nuts.
and she's only 19 years old, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
She's only
No,
19
I
years old.
told some of my friends this weekend, but I was
Holy
at the lake
cow.
with them. I was like, guys, side note, I told them about Caitlin Tui. I was like, I went on that tangent for about 5 minutes. And then I was like, Diana Schneider, though, like you're talking about the Olympics, she's going to be there. You need to watch her. She's going to be really good.
And she's not officially representing Russia, so you can cheer for her.
Right. Yeah.
Right. She's
I
unofficial.
think
though.
that was Northwolf that told us that last week or week
Yeah.
before. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm
Yeah,
okay
Russia.
with that then.
Yeah. But again, I mean, I think that, we talk about Caitlin Tui and build a statue and I mean, I don't think with Diana that you can necessarily build a statue just because she was only here for 1 year. But in terms of being, one of the I always kind of think about how remember at the AC tournament how the 2 teams that are playing, they'll bring up like famous alumni or whatever.
Mhm.
Like, can Diana Schneider be our first tennis player famous alumni on the
Yeah.
screen? I mean,
I'm sure.
she's a top 25 best women's tennis player in the world right now, like at
Yeah.
all ages. That's
I think she
crazy.
was in the quarterfinal. I think she made it quarterfinals in Wimbledon.
Yeah.
Third round or quarterfinals. Yeah, one of those 2.
Yeah.
And she lost to the tennis player who beat Coco Gauff, who's
Yeah.
broadly regarded as the number 1, number 2 best women's tennis player in the world right now. So I mean, it wasn't
Yeah.
a bad loss
Good girl.
whatsoever.
She's
Yeah.
from UVA. I think
right.
the girl that beat her went to UVA.
Who
Yeah.
she's beaten twice before. So I mean, just didn't go her way. So
I think the other thing too that's important to note is I think to your point, she's elevated the program because she was on the squad that went to the NCAA championship finals, and just last week they approved a $4 million renovation to the tennis facilities.
Mhm.
So there you go, right on cue. Thank you.
Absolutely.
So
Yeah. No, again,
I don't think that happens. I don't think that happens if you're not,
No.
in a NCAA championship.
I mean, how can you not? I mean, again, you're Simon Ershaw. You're walking around like Mr. Puffed Out Chest to every single top recruiter in the country, saying, "Listen, Diana Schneider, that number 23, before even 20, like she can't even drink, and she's one of the top 25 best women's tennis players in the world." Yeah, that's NC State. Like that's crazy.
I bet she drinks
So-
vodka.
Yeah.
Yeah, as you said, it probably doesn't apply in
She
Russia.
drinks Savage Wolves
But
vodka.
still. She can't drink in the U.S. and she's one of the top
US, yeah.
25 best women's tennis players in the world. That's crazy.
Yeah.
So, anyway, I know that we had a couple of basketball tweets that we have to get to. We may have to save that
No,
for another
it's not a big
time.
deal. Let's do it.
Um,
Wrap it up.
but anyway, y'all. But I mean, again, we just had too much fun talking football, all things football, man. And again, it's gonna be so much fun. And again, y'all, anybody who's in the Discord, definitely let us know your like what kind of content do you want us to do, especially between now and then. What kind of questions, what kind of debates, what kind of previews do you want us to do between now and then? As we definitely want to put together a good amount of content between now and then for sure. As again, we're just excited as you are. But also too, y'all, I've learned a new trick today as well. As if you haven't already, y'all, if you haven't already hit that subscribe button, that it should be lighting up for you right now. So make sure to go and click that, y'all. So again, if it's lit up right now, make sure to hit that subscribe button, y'all. And I'm telling you, Greg, I learned it today, man. When
I don't see anything.
Well, again, because you're probably already subscribed to it or whatever. But
I'm gonna go
but-
unsubscribe.
well, dang it, no. And honestly, to be honest with you, I know it's on videos, but I don't know if it's necessarily if you are live and you say subscribe. But I know if it's a video and you say subscribe, it actually will light up. So
That's
so
pretty
yeah, y'all, again. So either way, y'all hit that subscribe button right now. If you haven't already, y'all do us a big favor, hit that like button, y'all. And if you're listening to this on Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, wherever you listen to it, do us a big favor as well. Leave a 5-star review. Greatly appreciate that as well. And again, y'all, stay tuned, y'all, as we have some awesome content coming out here very, very soon. So stay tuned, y'all. Greg, Macon, Michael, any final comments before we wrap this up?
Meet the Pack Day is coming up.
That's
17th of August. So I'm sure
NC
we'll
State's-
advertise it some more.
Yeah, and the NC State Football Media Day is Thursday, so
There you
AC
go.
Network content will be Thursday for NC State.
So
There
stay
you go.
tuned,
Good
y'all.
call.
Alrighty, well, Michelle, Northwolf, Benjamin, everybody, appreciate y'all tuning in. We'll see y'all soon, and go Pack, y'all.
All right.